let's discuss elevating your career as a group exercise instructor. Welcome back to another episode within the KIPS Podcast, where I have guest Jeff Lim, where we're going to be talking about elevating your career as an existing group exercise instructor. We're going to talk about things like what are ways that choreography-based classes can help you. We're going to talk about social media and its influence as an instructor, and also talk about the little things, all the minute things that you need to do weekly to practice, to get those reps in, and to really take your career to the next level as an instructor. Before we get to the episode, I want to talk about one item that we briefly discussed, and that is branding. If you are new to the KIPS podcast, I've had previous guests on that we discussed branding, and you might be thinking, what is it?
I think of brand very much as what people say about you, think about you, know about you when you're not there. So you have to think in your lane, basically, okay, who do I want to attract? What are they actually looking for? And usually people are looking for their own self-interest when we're talking about our industry, right? They want to be a better version of themselves. They want to lose weight.
Let me use an example of an instructor that I know out in the local area where I live. That is the greater Phoenix metropolitan. And this instructor, she is known for teaching bar classes. Now, this instructor, she's also a mom of 4 kids. And so people know she's busy, but yet she's very dynamic. She's very much about her family. Those are things that people can latch on to if they are in that same audience. If they are wanting to go to classes where they feel like, oh, wow, I didn't have energy, but now I feel like I have it, boom. Or if I want to go ask somebody some questions about how do you stay so energetic? How do you get all these things done when you have 4 kids? They know they can go talk with them and connect with this instructor. Now, the second piece I'm going to talk about with branding, personal branding, and being a group exercise instructor is how does that outreach help now? I'm going to go back to the same instructor that I mentioned before for this example, how they build their audience on social media and how now they have an audience that they can push to different areas. What does that mean? And when I say we push people to different areas, that's influence. I know that is a rather controversial term these days when people are talking about being an influencer. I know some people get kind of mad about it. They think that influencers are bad for the industry, but really, influencing is what social media, your audience is about. How can you get them to come to a class? That's influence. How can you get people to follow you on social media and like your posts, engage? That's influence. If you want to start doing affiliate marketing, influence. So when you start to build your brand, your personal brand, you want them to connect with certain things. And that is where personal branding comes into play. If you want them to know you for high energy, being family oriented, people in that same audience will connect with you and start that process of whatever you recommend. Yeah, I'm going to go check it out because I like all the other things that you mentioned and then what you're doing. And I'm about those things as well. If you are an existing instructor listening to this episode, what do you think about choreographed classes? Do you think that they can help your business? Do you think that you want to pursue them in the future? Let me know in the comments on the platform that you are listening to. And let's get to the episode with Jeff. Jeff, to kick us off, can you provide a brief background on yourself, how you got into the fitness industry, what you're doing now, and anything that you have potentially coming up that you're working on?
Sounds good. First off, I just want to say thank you for the honor of being here. I love your work and I'm excited to do this podcast with you.
Thank you. Thank you.
I love it. I started off in fitness over 20 years ago.
Oh, wow.
And I still do it to this day, but I love going to a good yoga class. It's something that really grounds me. It's my secret sauce. It's my recipe for just mental clarity and physical and emotional strength as well. Mm-hmm. It's on my to-do list, just so you know, right? Because I yogi at heart.
Yeah.
I played a lot of basketball, right? Yoga helped offset that. And I played a little too much where I had one final injury that was the straw that broke the camel's back, if you will. Mm-hmm. And as I recovered, I had to make some new life decisions. And part of that also was because I met my future wife at the time, and she's trying to nurse me back to health because I broke my ankle. And it really was unfortunate because I couldn't move, right? And so once I healed and recovered, mom asked me to go to a Zumba class, and I was so timid, but I was in the back. I enjoyed the vibe, the music, the people. It was the beginning of something fresh. And one of my instructors, as I started transitioning to go into more group fitness classes, encouraged me, hey, there's a training coming up. Would you be interested in going? I'm like, no, but that's something different. My wife, ironically, signed us up. She said, hey, we're going to go to a class. And it ended up being a training.
Nice.
That was the beginning of something unique because I never thought in a million years that I would be a group fitness instructor. And as I got addicted to it, and I teach over 10 different formats now.
Wow.
I've evolved into the next level in terms of now training future instructors in the industry.
Yeah.
It's given me so much joy, Tyler. And over the last 10 years, I've been actively teaching group fitness formats across Arizona, across the US. A couple months ago, I was over in Virginia Beach for another event, and it was just fantastic to be able to use this fitness platform to make an impact in people's lives.
I love it. I love it. To set the stage further, what are those 10 formats that you teach?
Oh my goodness, you got me on my feet now.
Let's hear it.
So my very first format is Mixed Fit, which is a people-inspired dance fitness program combining explosive dance movements with body weight toning. Zumba, of course, was something I had to do as my first joy in terms of dance, commit dance fitness. I do silver sneakers, some Zumba gold.
Nice.
I do circle mobility, which is within that brand as well. It's such an incredible format to give me not necessarily my yoga fix, but my mobility, my stretch, my breath work. I do some specific formats that are tied to my local gym. And it's incredible. They include building the peach. It's so in right now. And it's fantastic. I also teach extreme hip hop step, and it's bringing back step and making step great again. Goodness, I can't think off my feet, but those are my core right now. And of course, hold on, Chair One Fitness.
There you go.
Absolutely the love of my life right now because of the future that I see for that brand and really for the impact that it's going to make for.
I dig it. I dig it. I thought of a question to kind of get us going in terms of with choreography based classes. So this was something that came in my mind after I recorded my last podcast for KIPS. Last week, I had on a guest that is a master instructor for Les Mills. And if any listeners tuning in for this that are unsure what I'm talking about when it comes to choreographed based classes, there is a whole process that you go through with the training and even after. And with benefits, one of the big things for me, somebody that I never thought I would be doing choreographed based classes or that I would be interested in them, but I see a big benefit for those really busy fit pros that if you are somebody that you want to teach group of fitness, you're thinking, oh, wow, there's a lot of great benefits I could see with building my client list if you're a trainer. And with these types of classes, it helps take, in my opinion, one thing off your plate. There is a lot that goes into building a class. If you could take one thing off your plate and now just focus on that I can't even tongue-tied here, the choreography of the class, I think it just gives you something to focus on. What are some of those benefits that you personally think when you are thinking about these types of classes?
That's absolutely a benefit. It takes the thinking away, right? Because to your point, I'm like, I got to figure out what I'm going to wear, and it's important, right? Because it really sets the mood, right? So choreography is so important, right? I, of course, love creating, right? And so I create a lot of my own choreography based off the structure and guidance provided in each of the formats, right?
Yeah.
I'm, of course, doing like a mixed fit class. I want to make sure I incorporate some of the core basic movements. You'll have elements there. I'm teaching a Zumba class. I want to make sure I have the right salsa in play.
Yeah.
I want to make sure that I have the appropriate steps that I use for like an extreme hip hop class, for example. Choreography is something that I really enjoy creating. But starting off, yeah, I needed the help. And a lot of these programs already have it. They already have it, and it's ready for you at the tip of your finger. And now it's just memorizing, right? And so for me, someone who's busy, right? Because I'm not just a group fitness instructor. I got my day job. I got my business. I got so many other things that are happening, family. Having choreography that's already there for you and that you can modify accordingly is such a game changer.
Yeah. And I mean, a lot of participants are coming for that energy, for the atmosphere that you're creating. If you can solely think of, okay, what are some pieces that I can put into this track that I can bring the level up of the atmosphere? I've really been thinking about this motivational speech. Where can I put it into a track at a certain point? Those are things that you can now start thinking of, different areas to build off of. So I think that it's definitely something to consider. And I was trying to figure out where I can put this into a future podcast. And I'm thankful that I was like, I should ask it to Jeff right now. Here's where I can bring in this question here. So in terms of building as a group exercise instructor, I think that's something anybody tuning in that's already in this realm, they want to know, getting to that next level. What are some factors that you see that somebody going from just beginning as an instructor, elevating their coaching, their cueing, what are those things that somebody goes through that you're like, yep, they're making that transition to a good instructor, to a great instructor?
Great question. For me, it's practice, right? Being able to practice, which I hate the cliche, but practice does make perfect, right? But you're never perfect, right? But to your participants, to your clients, you are perfect, right? And so practice, practice, practice. And so for me, it's really knowing the music, right? Especially we talk about choreography, right?
Yeah.
Not every format requires you to know the music, right? But the ones that I teach, especially, it does, right? Because they're going to know that when that hook comes on, they're going to be moving with a basic pump, or they're going to be moving 3 knees around. It's important that we are able to practice and know our audience, right? Because if I'm teaching to, say, an active aging community, right? What I taught yesterday to maybe the big box gym, I can't do 3 knees around. I'm gonna have to do 3 knees, or I'm gonna have to do, for example, maybe 3 squats. I got to be able to adjust accordingly for that audience.
Yeah.
Right? So to me, practice makes perfect. Knowing your music, knowing your audience, right? Because you have to have that in your pocketbook to adjust as needed.
Yeah. I feel like one of my good friends that I mentioned prior to recording, McCall Tixon, she's posting her stories when she's learning a new format, she's practicing, and I think she'll post it every now and then. How does that work with your schedule? When are you practicing, and how are you practicing when something comes up to a certain audience? How does that fit in?
That's a great call out. And you probably seen me, because I'm that guy. I'm doing call outs in the car, in the shower. I'm practicing, right? Because I'm mentally rehearsing, right? So part of it for me is, okay, what's the next movement, right? Am I able to actually visualize it if I'm not actually in the studio, or if I'm not actually in the gym doing the actual movement? Am I rehearsing it in my mind, right, of what I'm going to say next, right? The cueing part that you mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
Me washing the dishes and you see me moving and talking, there's a method to the madness. I'm actually mentally rehearsing and actually talking out loud, right? So that's one aspect of it. But you just have to find the time, Tyler. For me, especially in group fitness, right? You have to be able to execute, right? And so for me, now that I've been in the game for a while, because I know the basic salsa, because I know the basic movements, I know all of these different elements in each of the formats that I teach, I could probably ad hoc it a little bit, right? Not everyone is at that stage yet, right? So to me, I have to put in the work. And that means putting in the time and committing to your craft.
Agree. I just recorded a video yesterday for personal trainers that was talking about the simulated personal training session that might come up when somebody's getting hired. And I mentioned how I think it's a great thing to focus on because now you find your rhythm, your pacing as an instructor. There's so much that goes on in a certification. You're trying to tie everything in together. Where does this piece go? How do I get the flow of this? And if you could just think of a session and the pacing, and once it finally comes out of your mouth, then you could start tweaking it. I think it's the same thing with group exercise. You have to say it verbally. You have to start moving whatever is going on in the class. You have to get that down so then you can get feedback. And I think feedback is one of those things that some instructors struggle to cope with, or I'm trying to find the best way to say it, that they don't want to take it. What do you think about that?
Instructor feedback is what it comes down to, right? And for me, I am one that views feedback as a gift, right? Good or bad. I can't go and elevate myself unless I hear that. And so I'm thankful when I hear it. I may not want to hear it, but I'm absolutely thankful because if someone took the time to actually give me that feedback, they actually care enough.
100%.
And I welcome it, right? So I always ask, right? Because again, one of my biggest things is just constant feedback. I do that in everything I do in life, right? Whether it's with my family, whether it's at work, whether it's in fitness. I want that feedback because I need to know how I can be a better version of myself the next day than I was yesterday, or even the next 5 minutes from now. Like, wow, I never thought about doing it that way. Let me see if I can incorporate that right away, if it makes sense to me, right? But at least I acknowledge it, and I want to always receive that type of feedback. So my encouragement for those listening is accept that as a gift. Right.
Yep.
And you don't have to respond to it. You don't have to react to it. Let it sit. Let it come back to it tomorrow, and just kind of think about it. Yeah. And be surprised how it can go such a long way.
Yeah, I think that reflection process is definitely a part of it. The digesting it. Somebody might give you something that doesn't really make sense. Yeah, that happens all the time. And there might be a reason why it doesn't make sense yet. But there's a lot of times you get some good feedback and you're like, okay, yep, yeah, I messed up there, or, oh, I need to improve on that section. Let me go tinker with it to find those steps to make it better. Something that we were talking about earlier before we were recording, and this happens all the time. And that's why sometimes just got to get to the recording, because we just start diving into certain things before we've even pressed the button, the red button to record. And one of those things has to do with building a class. And I think that a lot of people are very interested in this whole, how do I build a community within my class? Especially if it's a larger class or you're trying to build a larger class, there's a lot of benefits. What are some of your tips for instructors that they don't know how to quite do that yet, or they're wondering, do I even need to? What do you recommend?
I love that question. And, for me, community is everything. And I'm such a big part of a lot of different communities because they all mean so much to me. From a fitness perspective and really building that class and that community, for me, it starts within, right? Are you being your authentic self, right? Because for me, how are you going to connect with me, right? To even have a, right? Everyone has different goals when they come into a class, right? But for me as the instructor leading it, and for someone who wants to grow his class, connecting is important.
Yeah. How
am I connecting with each and every participant? Do I know your name? I make it my mission to know your name. Even if I have to repeat it 4-5 times every single week, right? Because I don't know it yet. But my goal is to know everyone's name, really connect with them, know a fun fact about them, right? Because that then establishes, again, a connection, right? For me, it's also then, how do you make yourself a little different, right? So for me, I love taking a picture at the end of the class, right? I love capturing the moments, right? Because if I don't see Johnny the next day or the next week or the next month, I would have captured that moment, right? Yeah. And hey, we did that, Johnny, right? Or I did that, Susie, with you. And we always have something to remember. So I love taking pictures. For me, that's building that community, right? I love using the fitness platform that I have to do more. I always think of fitness as like a superpower. Right? What good is this power, right? If you don't use it for more. And so for me, I love community events, right? And so I have one coming up actually tomorrow. It's my 3rd annual Do Better for One Step Beyond Inc., which is a local organization here. And we've always done free, open to the public classes, right? To really use that as a platform to not only bring awareness to those organizations within our community, but to also raise money, right? And we've done so well, Tyler. I love using fitness as a platform to bring the community together to make a difference. And so that's one of my recipes is, again, leveraging that superpower for more, right?
I love it.
I love going to classes, teaching, coming back home. There's always more, Tyler. So for me, that's one of my big recipes for success is how do you use this superpower for even more? And with that, you'll be able to hopefully gravitate more people towards you, which then starts building that community.
Yep. Agree. Something you mentioned early on there was the letting your personality show. And I think that early on, somebody might be a little bit rigid because they're trying to apply what they learned into this new class. They might be worried about public speaking. I know that is a big thing that somebody new or potentially thinking about. How can I even get started in group fitness? I'm not great in front of audiences. What are some tips that you have for somebody in that area that you need to start showing your personality more? You need to let that guard down and share some information about yourself.
Love it. I love the 30-second elevator pitch, right? So no matter where you're at, right? It's like if you're in the room and you have one shot, right, to make that pitch, you only have 30 seconds because they're going to get off the elevator. How are you going to leave an impression, right? So for me, it's having a 30-second pitch. Rehearse it, practice it. Hi, my name is Jeff Lim, and I am your fitness instructor. Today, we're going to be doing a Zumba class. It is a bunch of different world rhythms, and you're going to have the best time modified to whatever you need to. If I'm doing a jumping jack, do a leg out, arms up, drink plenty of water, take breaks. And if you have questions at the end, let me know. Have a pitch like that ready every time because it starts with being confident with what you say, and then it's going to naturally come out. I promise you, the more you rehearse, I'm going to rewind it. One of the questions that I answered earlier was practice, right? And that also means practice speaking, even if it's for that first 30 seconds, right? Because once you get into the class, I feel like the juices flow, the adrenaline runs, feed off the energy back and forth. And that's when your personality, your authentic self starts to come out. Whether you know it or not, you start seeing it. It's like, oh my gosh, Jeff is going to kick my butt right now, right? But he's hilarious. He's joking. He's adding some puns here and there, right? But we're working hard. We're having a great time. I don't even realize that I'm working out, right?
Spot on.
I love one of the intros that one of my favorite instructors ever had done. So like, my name is Elizabeth, just like the Queen of England. It resonates. Right? I'm like, I know who the Queen of England is. Now I'm going to remember Elizabeth's name every single time. Yeah. Right. For me, it starts with practice. And then again, you know who you are. Be your authentic self. Your personality will start to come out, right? You don't have to force anything. Just be yourself. And I guarantee you're going to start really building that confidence with each and every class. And then again, it ties back to how you execute, right? Because you can't just go in and try to teach and coach a class. You got to be able to execute too. So they all go hand in hand. Yeah. And as they do, you start building even more confidence. And then before you know it, we get to call you a seasoned pro.
Yeah. I like that. I like the giving an exact piece of something for somebody to work on, like the elevator pitch. I'd never thought of that as a group exercise instructor, but that gives somebody something very specific that if you're coming into the industry and you're wanting to teach classes, here, practice this, and now go execute it in front of your audience and see what it does to open up the class, to get and watch their faces as you're saying it if you can. Just a small joke here, but I just got back from a conference a few weeks ago, and I was talking with my wife about how I public speak, and I think it's even in group exercise classes. I don't ever really look at somebody. I look at their foreheads, or I look past people. And she asked me, she's like, do you make eye contact with people? I was like, maybe. They might think I am, but I don't really look at anybody specifically. And I'm sorry if somebody that's listening to this that saw me in a conference recently, I might have looked like I was looking at you, but I really don't, because oftentimes, and it's the same thing with group exercise, you're trying to think of that next piece that's coming up. You're trying to think of, okay, I need to connect this piece. What's the next song coming up? And somebody could make a face, they could look around, they could do something that just throws you off. So you got to find your little things that just help you stay in rhythm, stay in sync throughout that process. But I want to go back to, actually, we were talking about music earlier, because I think that is something that is a next level piece of becoming an instructor, that when you can build out classes yourself, let's say you learn a format and now you want to put your own spin on it. You want to build your own classes with music that you like. Maybe it's popular music. What are some of your pieces of advice for those people that they're like, oh, I just don't know how to go from, here's my format that I learned that's choreographed based, but now I want to create my own spin on it. What are some tips that you have inside of there?
I love that. Again, it goes back to knowing your audience, right?
Yeah.
Also knowing your authentic self, right? Because you know what music you like, right?
Yeah.
You're going in and into maybe, say, I call it like an adult day environment, right? A lot of the clients there that I have in adult day, generational type of music, right? And what I mean by that is I'm playing stuff from the 60s, 70s, right? Stuff that really resonates with them, even though they may not necessarily resonate with me.
Yeah.
No, the audience is going to be important, right? And that's going to, again, help build the tone and the mood for that class, and really that community that you're going to start to really building upon from class to class. So knowing your audience, knowing who you are, right? Because you still want to add some of your flavors, right? And so for me, my playlist ranges from anywhere from, like I said, the 50s all the way to modern, right? And I love music, right? So that's a fun fact about me. I love all things about music. I took an Elvis class back in the day just so I could learn more about Elvis, right? And it's just something that ties wonderfully into group fitness and building choreography and a playlist. In addition to that, like for me, every group fitness format has its own flow, right? And so for me, a lot of my classes, they're dance classes, they're step classes. You want to have some energy right from the beginning, right? And so I always love putting like a high energized song that folks either know or hear on the radio, like to get them pumped, to get them motivated, some uplifting, upbeat music, right? That's important. I love using a mix, right? Because it's something unique. It's something different, right? And it gets them going. It's like, oh my gosh, that's a Journey song. How is that in a dance class all of a sudden, right? Because I'm able to get the right mixes in so that way it resonates with people, right? And I love music from all genres as well. Just because I teach mixed fit doesn't mean it's a lot of hip hop class or hip hop songs, right? I love throwing in some pop, some K-pop. I love throwing in a country song every now and then, right? Because there's something for everyone, right? Yeah. Love mixing it up with some global world music as well. Like I'll throw in a little salsa beat just to get us moving in a little bit differently, even though it's a mixed fit class, for example, right? And so for me, it's just really making sure that you understand your group fitness's structure, right? In terms of how the flow of the class can go, and incorporating those elements with the right music. And for me, don't be afraid to go and do like a 70 songs for maybe your population of like, I don't know, college students. You'd be surprised what they're receptive of. And don't be afraid to maybe throw in a little, I don't know, K-pop, right? into that active adult day.
A quick break in this video. If you are needing CEUs, make sure that you head to the link that's in the description where you can find all our online courses that have pre-approvals with NASM, IHRSA, EōS, AFA, NCSF, and with Nesta. We of course offer free content on our YouTube channel, but if you're needing professional ed, with some of you having the full amount to recertify, make sure you head to that link. And now let's get back to the video. Let's dive into that a little bit more because you provided some good insight again before we hit the record button with demographics and knowing your audience here. What are some insights going from one end of the spectrum, let's say a mixed fit class and then a chair one class? What are some insights with music and demographics that some advice you can give for listeners there with differences?
So I'm a trad guy sometimes, right? So, they're like, Jeff, this is it. And, right, your students. So part of being a great instructor also means being an active listener.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're telling you the answer sometimes. And so like, Jeff, have you heard this song? Oh, no. And it's like something that's trending. I find out like it's on social media, right? Instagram or whatever. And it's like, oh, I love that, right? If choreography obviously doesn't exist, I'm going to create that because they're telling me they want to hear it. So I love listening to what my students, my clients are telling me, because then I can somehow incorporate that in a choreography that I create. Or to your point earlier, a lot of these formats already have monthly releases, right? Where choreography that includes music that is just fresh and ready to be utilized is going to be at the tip of your fingers. So for me, it's just a matter of actively listening, but also seeing what the trends are, right? Because again, it's not about you, right? There's a little bit that is about you, but hearing what's out there, what's in, what's not in, you want to make sure that you're able to cater to those different audiences. Again, if I'm going to a active adult day, I know what my clientele wants to hear, but I will still play things that are in, because all of a sudden they get visited by their grandkids. It's like, hey, I know that song. And they're jamming to some K-pop as well. And I just, Grandma, you listen to BTS? Yes. My fitness instructor did it in the gym the other day, right? So they're playing a little Dynamite and they get it. And that's the beauty of music. It literally brings all populations together no matter what.
Agree. We're going to move to some quick hits here. And with these, I'm going to read you a statement and I want your initial reaction with them. Okay. And you could take them however you want. So first one here, personal branding is key in 2025 as a group fitness instructor.
Absolutely. 100%. For me, you have to have that personal brand, right? I'm sporting a little bit of the EōS Fitness guy. That's me.
Yep.
Right. And for me, who is Jeff Lim, right? And so you got to be able to have that personal brand, right? It's the dynamic energy that Jeff brings to every single class, right? Your brand could mean a lot of different things. It could mean a logo. It could mean like how you portray yourself in a class or even on social media. Like for me, having that brand also ties back into social media, right? Because that's part of the game right now, right? Is having that presence to showcase that brand, that identity, if you will. Utilize it to the best of your abilities, right? It's there for you if you choose to use it, right? But having that brand 2025 and beyond, absolutely essential.
Yeah. And I will second that with when I became aware of you on social media last year, right off the bat, notice those things. Brand, the EōS Fitness guy, and all the things that you are putting out there is all on brand with what you are putting out and what you are living as a fitness instructor. And I think it's a great way for anybody that's, I don't know, is there an example out there that I can follow? Boom. Go look at Jeff's account. You could see how he's branding himself. And there are a lot of tools out there that fit pros can utilize to make a logo, a brand, a branding, I'm trying to think, a branding kit. There we go. A lot of tools out there. So great response there. Next one, and you already answered this, but I'm going to dive into it a little bit more. Social media is a must for group fitness instructors.
So I'll throw a curveball at you. It's yes and no. For me, it depends, because if you have weekly classes at a big box gym, or you are teaching independently at a studio, you need it. You need it. Absolutely. Yeah. Right. You want to make sure that people know where to find you. On the other side of it, I also teach, like, even in my day-to-day corporate job, right? I don't have to worry about social media there. They know that every week Jeff's going to teach a class. I don't have to really market myself, brand myself. They know that there's a class that's available that they can attend. And so it just depends, right? Some of the schools that a lot of my friends actually teach at, you don't need any of it. They just show up, right? And so for me, it depends. Mm-hmm. For a lot of the audience and the listeners here, I do feel like it's absolutely essential. Yeah. Utilize, it's part of marketing yourself. It's creating your brand. And really, it allows them to connect with you, because social media, you not only share your classes, but how are you connecting on an individual basis, right? Oh my gosh, Jeff does some gardening too on the side. Like, I can relate to that. What? He loves eating pho? What? I've been to that restaurant too. It creates a different dimension that maybe, or that 30 or 60-minute class that you have on a weekly basis doesn't come across to them, but you're actually building more relationships, right? Yep. Through different channels, such as social media. And for me, it's important.
Yep. Hit it on the nose with the connection there. Right on point. Next one here, and last one. The rise of virtual and hybrid fitness classes has changed the way group fitness instructors approach their sessions.
I love this one so much, because I do both. Whether it's a virtual setting like this podcast, mm-hmm. I love teaching virtually, right? Because one of my life missions is I aspire to inspire, right? And I can't use this superpower if I just stay in my little room here. Yeah. But I can if I use something like Zoom, right? Where I can literally broadcast to the world, right? And whoever wants to receive it can, right? And so for me, the hybrid approach is essential as we navigate, right? Because there's a lot of influence ever since the whole pandemic. The virtual world has blown up. Never in a million years that I think I would be subscribing and paying like an annual cost for Zoom, right? Yep. But it's essential now. Like, if you really want to have a bigger reach, expand your offerings as a group fitness instructor, having technology, having something like the virtual presence is going to be absolutely essential. I can't help but do the live classes still, right? Because there's something different about the energy you get in person than on the virtual airwaves, right? Because it opens up a whole nother can of worms. Like, and we should do a different podcast on this one, or a masterclass. You have to have a different type of engagement when you're virtual. Like, how do you soothe the energy that you have typically in a live class in a virtual setting, right? You might not be able to see people, right? Because they just might have their screen off. Are they watching me? What are they thinking? Like, I don't know what's going on, right? So there's different tiers to that, right? But for me, it's essential, right? And it's a must if you want to progress in this next age.
Agree. And I'll throw this out there for listeners, is that not everybody is on the platform that you put your content out on. And that's something I've learned over the last year, how I have a YouTube channel, a workout-based YouTube channel, and that is the only form of social media that some of my audience members utilize. And at first it's like, whoa, so you don't follow me on Instagram, or you're not on Facebook? And it's like, no, some people, they just want one platform, and that is their platform of choice. And so that is opening up a potential audience right there for you to look into. And I can tell you that, having done different YouTube channels, that there is every demographic out there on YouTube. And so you can have that opportunity. But also, I always come back at it from the angle of it helps you stay sharp. I haven't taught live in a bit. And I can tell you that the time where I was online and then I went and teach live, it was like I never skipped a beat. It helps you stay fresh because you are keeping that rhythm, that pacing of coaching that comes from repetitiveness. There's practice and repeating it over and over and over, that it just rolls off your tongue when you're breaking down a squat or a move in a class. So I think it's great because it gives you a different angle of cueing, of coaching to a camera. You're having to think of different ways of how to say something. So it really keeps you sharp, in my opinion. So I just wanted to provide that insight there. We are going to move to our podcast takeaways right now and some little bit of insight for our listeners. This question, and I usually provide the same example if you listen to different episodes, that I was watching a documentary on Amazon. It was called Iron Cowboy, an individual that did 50 different Ironman distances in 50 different states. And on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, he was asked, what are 3 myths about triathlon training? And I was like, I can take that and I can spin that for the podcast. So Jeff, what are 3 myths about teaching group exercise?
I love this question. And one of the myths that comes right to my mind is, as a student, I can't, right? And so perceived limitations, right? It's a real thing, right? It's like, yes, you can, right? Your job as a group fitness instructor is really to change that I can't to I can, and you will, and you are, right? Yeah. And so for me, really, really showcasing to the people that aren't necessarily trying to come to class, like how do you tell them that they can, right? So that's another podcast, right? But for me, that's one thing we talked about earlier. Just if you're starting out, right? You can. I never in a million years thought that I would be a group fitness instructor. One of my goals was to be a teacher. That did help. This is my fix of being a teacher. But I never thought that I would be doing this, right? And so never say never, right? Because you absolutely can, especially if you are passionate about it, right? It's like, whoa, I could really go into this body pump class. I'm getting a great pump. I'm getting motivated. Never think that you can't become an instructor, because you never know by going to that training what that's going to do for you, right? Or as an instructor, give your student that opportunity. It's like, hey, Tyler, have you thought about being an instructor? You killed it once again, 4th week in a row, right? There's a training coming up. Why don't you shoot your shot and just learn the science behind it, right? Because you're executing it. Now learn the science behind it and see where that takes you. And so that's another one. And then, oh goodness, I love the virtual comment earlier, so I'm going to piggyback off of that, right? Don't be surprised who you can reach, right? I had someone reach out to me from the Philippines, like, Jeff, I saw your post. Where do you teach? I saw that you did virtual. Whoa. Someone in the Philippines reached out to me. I didn't have to do anything. I just posted content out there, and they saw it. They wanted more information, and they're going to tell all their friends about it now. And now all of a sudden, I went from 2 virtual participants from the Philippines to like 20 more, right? Wow. Because it spreads like wildfire. So don't underestimate the power of social media. Like, I don't need social media. Depends on what you want to do.
I dig it.
You never know who your reach is.
Yeah. And with the 3 that you mentioned, the one that I just want to take to wrap it up here is with the formats. I always say this all the time. I think I said it in the last podcast I recorded. There's a format out there for everybody, that if you are somebody that is from strictly the personal training realm and you're thinking, what can I teach? Where can I start? Teach a boot camp, teach circuit training that just gets your feet wet, gets you comfortable, and then just grow from there. There is something out there for everybody. And from a business perspective, this is an audience, if you're working at a big box gym, that is consistently coming to the gym. They are consistently there. And now you are in front of them. That's more opportunities to talk to them. And you never know when a conversation comes up that, hey, I'm either looking for more training, or hey, my sister, my son, whatever might come up, and boom, there's a client. And I mean, there's so many business aspects from it to expand on, but I always say those ones out there for people that are more in the training base, that you're missing out on a potential client or audience right there. Jeff, before we sign off here, can you give information about your social media, any upcoming events, and how people can contact you?
Absolutely. So Instagram is my go-to, Dance Fitness with Jeff. And TBD, I do have a YouTube that's coming, so we'll have to sidebar about that one, Tyler. I love Instagram. It's just easy, and it trickles down to my Facebook. That's more personal, but you can also find me on Facebook, Dance Fitness with Jeff. It's there. And in addition to that, I have a lot of different events throughout the year, right? Yeah. Every month, and we talked about branding earlier, like one of like the key events of the month for the AZ Fitness guy is our After Darks. It just creates a whole different vibe that you can't get necessarily in a gym. And we just go there, right? And you get to really express yourself in different ways, groups of instructors teaching almost as if it's a fitness concert. It's something to check out each and every month. And I love using this platform, like I said earlier, to give back. I have my annual Rise Fit Fest coming up in October 10th, 11th, and 12th. It's a 3-day fest. Fitness formats from across the US. We have all sorts of dance fitness. You have workshops so you can level up. Whether you're an instructor, whether you're a student, you get to come here and really level up and grow in the disciplines that maybe you didn't think about doing, right? And so yeah, I'm proud of that event because it's something that gives back to our community. And last year we made a little under $2,500 in 2 organizations. We're running it back, and Ability 360 is an organization that's here locally in Arizona. That's where the event's going to take place, and we're going to give back after all costs and expenses to Ability 360. It's an incredible facility with incredible human beings, right?
Yeah.
By folks with disabilities, for disabilities. And it hits you right here, right? The impact that an event like this can make for programs that Ability 360 offers that they can leverage and utilize right away.
Yeah.
Especially with some of the cuts in funding, right? And so for me, it's a big part of what I love doing, and what the AZ Fitness guy is also about, which is to give back to the community.
I love it. I love it. A lot of good insight in this podcast, Jeff. A lot of great things that people can apply right away. That's what I love about doing this podcast, bringing on guests from different areas of the fitness realm and providing insight. It's about building careers, building opportunities to give back. So really great stuff, Jeff. Thank you for coming on and being my guest.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.